This is the Daily Strike with your host, David Schminsky. Today we have a very special guest here with us, Phillip Shepard. How's it going?
Doing really good. How you doing, David?
I'm doing very well, man. Thank you for asking.
No problem.
How was the drive over here? I know you said it was a little...
It wasn't too bad. It was about 45 minutes, but like I said before, if it takes me about 45 minutes, 35 minutes if I drive illegally. 45 minutes if it's legal.
We'll wipe it off the script. No one's going to hear about that.
Yes, there we go.
Awesome, man. So I just want to thank you for joining us today on the fourth episode of Daily Strike. The goal here, man, is just to have casual conversation, get to know you a little bit more, let the viewers get to know you, and kind of get them and give them an insight on kind of what's going on in your life. So, what made you kind of jump into the entrepreneurial route?
Yeah, so I come from an entrepreneurial background. My parents own their own business. My mom, she started when I was really young, just started cleaning just people's houses, windows, everything, just to meet ends meet. It was funny because back in the day, you weren't really considered an entrepreneur. You were just considered, I'm going to make money to live. And so it's funny how this transitioned over the years. Anywho, just growing up with that in the industry of entrepreneurship, when I was actually 10 years old, my mom was a realtor. And she was like, hey, you know what? I have a foreclosed house. Do you want to make $20 and go mow the grass? I'm like, sure, let's do it. I'm all about the $20. I'll go buy some, Yoshi's World after that on Super Nintendo or N64.
N64, man.
Totally. And so easy money. So when I was 10 years old, I started mowing grass and I saw an opportunity. I was like, you know what? Like, this is it's easy. Show up with a mower, weed whacker, take care of business, get paid. And so just when I was younger, just started mowing grass, getting clients and just going up and down my street in a town local here over in Lake Holiday. And it was easy. Just walk down there and ask, hey, I'll mow your grass, and just built up clientele. And so I think, as we talked before, I think I was around like the age of 14. This is before I drove, of course. And I was doing I think 40 or 50 yards in a week or so. And so it became a real big deal. So when I was 16 or 17, bought my truck, bought a trailer, bought more mowers, and eventually started hiring friends to actually do some of the work for me because it just became too much.
How old were you?
I was 10 when I started. And I think I was around 17 when I bought my first truck. I had a car before that, so truck, trailer, et cetera, just to expand the business.
You were 17 years old and you were hiring your friends in a business that you were running.
Yes, that is correct.
That is incredible.
Yeah, it was a thing when you're younger. You're like, this is a thing that you did. Looking back on it now, I was like, oh, it's actually kind of cool.
I mean, definitely. I mean, you look at it now. I mean, people are so scared. I'm not going to say everybody's scared, but there's so many people that are so scared to take that leap to starting their own business.
Yeah.
But at 10 years old, you're like, okay, I'm going to do this, make money just to, just for whatever. Because at 10 years old, I mean, money is just, you just take it to the dollar store and buy whatever. That's what I did with my money at 10 years old. But I mean, you did initially the impossible. You started a business at 10 years old. You hired all your friends to work with you at 17. And then shortly after, what happened after that? I mean,
and it goes back to what I love what you said there. It's like, people are a little scared to take the leap. And for me, and I was super fortunate with my parents and my upbringing, it wasn't I never knew anything other. So I never knew what fear was to lose. And so it wasn't even a thing oh, I'm going to fail, and so when you never have that experience, you never have that inside you to fight, you just kind of go the direction that you just know best, which is entrepreneurship and just making money and doing business. But to answer your question, as soon as around, I think I was 2021, and I was doing it for a decade or so, obviously more homes, more clients, landscaping jobs, et cetera. And at the time, that's when the economy was booming. And I really had to start fighting against price, which I'm never a big fan of. I don't want to have to compete on price in a sense of lower my prices to get more business. And so I saw this trend happening, which is everyone was getting into the industry. And I didn't want to really do too much commercial property because that's when you really start fighting on price. And so at a decade, I was like, you know what? I'm going to do something completely different and just kind of sell the business off. And that was in 2007, 2008, right before the housing crash. Like I said, it was a total accident by chance. Not that I foresaw anything happening. I was just done. And obviously, it was a good decision because I'd have probably lost a lot if I didn't. But that's when I sold it off. And actually, the gentleman who purchased it, he purchased it just because he wanted to retire on it. And I think it was a perfect situation, bought all my mowing accounts, and he's still running it today.
Interesting. That's incredible. What was the name of that company?
Genesis Landscaping.
Interesting. That's incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, you sold your business, luckily, not even knowing you got out.
Oh, yeah, totally.
You got out at a good time.
Pure chance. No intuition here on that part.
That's awesome, man. And, you sold the business, made some money. got out quick.
Yeah.
And you currently, right now, you actually own an art school with your wife.
Yep, that's correct.
What's the name of the art school?
It's called the Petite Palette.
The Petite Palette.
Yep.
And what's the purpose of Petite Palette?
So one of the things that we do is we have 3 lessons. We actually have 3 core things there. We have group painting sessions, so people like adults or kids can come in and they can paint. They can from small kids paintings or adult paintings. My wife, she is an amazing artist and she's also a gifted teacher and also a business person, of course, as well. And so we took a lot of those abilities and then we actually applied it to the business. So group painting sessions, people can come in and paint, of course. And then the other part is the group art lessons. And so those are the things where it's like people want to learn a skill set, painting, acrylics, watercolor, like she's teaching watercolor there tonight. I just got done doing some private lessons, but the idea is for kids or adults to come in and learn a different art skill. And so the last part is private lessons. So usually we have 3 core things we work off of.
That's awesome. That is absolutely incredible. So you work with a lot of younger kids in the area.
Yep, we sure do.
And I remember you mentioned something about teaching technology to these kids as well, helping them make YouTube videos and stuff like that. What's that experience like? I mean, because these kids, especially today, like I think back when I was younger and, things I thought about, I didn't really think about making YouTube videos. I was more about, playing sports and trying to find the next girlfriend and like just doing dumb stuff at a young age. But kids nowadays, I mean, their imaginations are just all over the place. So what's that like working with these kids? I mean, especially, putting their ideas on YouTube. I mean, that's incredible.
Yeah. I think it's an amazing thing. I love the idea of it because one thing we really talk a lot about at the studio is instead of consuming all the content, actually create content. And so I think it's one of those things we really communicate to the kids, especially in my industry or industry, the technology industry. They can go home and they can watch YouTube videos and follow all the influencers on YouTube and like them. But I really communicate. I'm like, hey, you can add to the value too. You can add to the actual industry. You can become, take your own ideas, your own creativity, make your own thing. And I think I pull a lot from when I was younger. Me and my friends, we'd have a camera. We want to do stupid things, and we go and record doing stupid things.
Sounds like Jackass.
Seriously, that's what the idea was back in those days. But I mean, that's still the same thing today with like the Paul brothers and all sorts of other channels.
You see all over social media people doing the stupidest things like I've ever seen. Like there was like this one video. This kid like poured tequila in his eyes or whatever and like snorted some salt and like just to get views. Like, I mean, I wouldn't recommend that stuff, but that is just, you're crazy.
Yeah,
you are crazy.
And it's one of those things where, kids will come in and, obviously we offer a class in this. They'll come in and I'll teach them how to edit their own YouTube videos. We have our own online, not our own, but we give them an online editor so they can go on and edit videos. And I teach them in class how to cut, edit, splice, audio, mix, everything from the start to finish. And if they don't, even if they don't produce content for their own YouTube channel, you could even say like, hey, the video industry isn't getting smaller, it's getting much bigger. Video is expecting to grow exponentially in the next like 5 to 10 years.
100%. I think I just heard something from one of my peers about how Facebook, their algorithm for how their system works, if you post videos, it'll work better. You'll be able to reach more people.
Without a doubt.
Rather than an all text post or a photo.
Yep.
That's crazy.
Oh, I know. And the industry is leaning towards that way. Video is always favored. I mean, realistically, if we had to sit down and talk about who our favorite quote unquote people are, a lot of times it's either on TV, which is video, YouTube, which is video. Not saying that podcasting is a big thing coming up. We know that. That's why we're doing this. But podcasting is going to be a big deal. But any way that you can communicate personality, usually between audio or visual, it's going to be a game changer.
100%. Especially podcasting. That's why I like they introduced the video portion with it now too, because for me, it's easier to understand or feel someone's emotions when I can see it rather than me just kind of reading it or, whatever it is. Same with way of learning. I'm more hands-on. I need to see what I'm working with rather than just like reading it on a paper or whatever. So the visual for everything, I mean, especially today with social media too, you're able to reach so many people by just one single post.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, it's crazy what one post can do, or at least a couple, or at least consistency if you're just consistent with content over and over again. People love personality.
Very true. Yeah. Personality is what sells, not product.
Yeah, it's really true. You could have just a whatever product and have a good personality and people will still buy it. I mean, it shows this through YouTube influencers and Instagram influencers, and it just shows that personality does sell. It doesn't mean you should make it the thing, but it's definitely it could be a good outcome from it.
Very true, very true. And you also do photography, web design, and you help smaller business with this stuff as well too, right?
Yep. So so basically some of the classes we offer at the studio is, obviously video editing for kids, also for small business. But I have a class called Camera Basics where they'll come in and, either kids or adults. A lot of times my pitch is always, hey, that camera that you got at Christmas time that you never use that sits on the top shelf? And he goes, yeah. So come in, I'll teach them how to use it. So anything from, without getting super technical, like ISO, shutter speed, aperture, which are all part of any camera that you purchase, whether it's an iPhone or a Nikon or Sony or Canon. They're all going to have the same things. Come in, teach a class, learn all the basics, and then from there they go into photography 1, which we learn composition, the rule of thirds, all sorts of different fun little Greek terms that we get to play around with. And then from there I also teach website design. So actually I had my first summer camp for kids with website design, because obviously websites are going to be a bigger thing. It could be it could be still, obviously it's a huge potential for a career. So a lot of parents would love to get their kids into website design, at least experiment. Because at that age, the kids want to experiment, whether it's video editing, website design.
Their brain is growing so quickly. Who knows? You could be teaching them exactly what they're going to do in their future.
Definitely. So kids came in for a summer camp, learned how to design websites. So it's a lot of fun. Basically, we've created a lot of classes based around what we like and what we're really good at. And it just happens to be that a lot of people really enjoy that too.
You found your niche.
Yep, without a doubt.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
So for any small business owners that are listening, and they're new to the whole social media, system, how many social media accounts do you think they should use? I mean, should they just stick to like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or should they go on LinkedIn, Snapchat? Should they have all of them? I mean, what would be some like general ones that a new business owner should, kind of dive into?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question, because one of the classes I teach is basically social media or Facebook advertising. But obviously the most obvious answer is most likely Facebook for any business. Now, if you're into B2B, which is business to business, I would definitely leverage any sort of LinkedIn. And then if you're either an e-commerce or a local business, definitely Facebook and Instagram are your best bets. And if you're going to do some sort of large-scale affiliate site or something more unique, Pinterest is a really good one just because of the way it operates. Twitter is fine as well. I probably would leverage Twitter the least, just because there's so much content on there and it's not as searchable, so to speak. Like there's so much information.
From what I'm hearing is Twitter is going to be gone here pretty soon.
I would imagine, it'll become something different than what it is currently. I think it has a great potential, but just like Snapchat has its unique little thing. I think I really enjoy Snapchat too. I would not recommend that for small business. It's not made for businesses.
It's made for personal.
Yeah, it's made for personal. Like and businesses, like for instance, we leverage it, but not to the extent we can leverage Facebook. I mean, Facebook has made specific tools for small business. Same thing with Instagram, obviously because Facebook owns Instagram, but Snapchat is its own little animal, not made for business.
Very true. Very true. I mean, and there's a lot of at-home business entrepreneurs too that use social media to their advantage, and there's so many different techniques that you can learn simply by just taking a small little course and just learning how the algorithm works and how to plug into that. Like, it's incredible. I mean, I remember when I used to just hate social media. I didn't hate it, but like in high school, I loved it, right? You post all over social media, you're talking to everybody. But like, as I grew up, man, I got over social media. Like, I started like not posting on my accounts and getting rid of them. And I just got sick of being in that spotlight. But
without a doubt.
Yeah, when I turned 22, I was just like, I should probably start using social media again. Like, because the way the world's going, like social media, like you can literally make yourself something off of social media.
And it's going to be the thing. It's like, I mean, this will definitely be a phase of the human nature of at least the world. I don't know what social media will look like after the fact, but definitely in the next probably 10 years, it's going to be heavily social media.
I definitely agree. I mean, everything. I mean, I just had this conversation in my last podcast too about groceries being delivered to your door.
It's crazy. I mean,
like, you don't even have to leave the house anymore. They will deliver your groceries to your door. I use it.
Oh yeah.
I can't even tell you the last time I've been to a grocery store.
And it's interesting to think that even like 40 years, even 30, 40 years ago, milk was delivered to your door. Isn't it funny how some things are just, how back, this transition of technology and industry, it's like Walmart became a thing, of course. It's like, we want everything in one store. And everyone's like, we want one thing in one store, and they have multiple niches. It's just the reversal of everything. Back in the day, it was like, I want to take a trip to the store and actually get everything I need. Where now it's like, I want people to come to me and deliver stuff, and that's how it used to be in some ways.
I'm still old school, man. I like going. I don't mind going to the grocery store, but it's my girlfriend that hates it.
Yeah,
I won't go too deep into that, but I like going to the grocery store, man. I like seeing people. I don't like the lines, but I like seeing the food I'm gonna buy or what I'm gonna buy and like, you know, be able to pick. Where online, you know, I had an issue where like I picked something and they brought me like the small size, and I'm like, dude.
Yeah, come on. Yeah, I mean, thinking? It's like it happens all the time where it's like, I want to get an avocado and it's like halfway rotten. It's like, well, thanks for nothing.
Can you give me some bananas? They bring you one banana.
Yeah,
I'm like,
that doesn't.
Dude,
these are black. This is not ripe.
Now, for these small business owners too, what kind of content should they share? I mean, of course, you know, whatever, you know, it's more directed towards their product or you know, whatever they're doing. But what kind of content would be, you know, good? What kind of content would be bad? What should you avoid?
No, I think, you know, and you know, a lot of times I sit down with a lot of small businesses and talk about the same thing. So this is amazing stuff. And I love it to death. I think some of the first things that you should definitely be posting about is your personality. And I think if you can, I always do a caveat there. If you don't feel comfortable sharing your personality and kind of like behind the scenes, then don't. I would say the next step down below that is original content, is, you know, your own photos, your own written content, your own videos, your own everything else. And I think the lowest thing I'd ever go to, and I always tell people this because I'm completely honest, is usually going to Google Images and pulling an image, like just typing, searching like yoga, copy, paste, and then like it just, people can see through that and they know when you're like quote unquote pitching to them. And I think if you can do your own original content, at least even just take our iPhone, take a photo, write a good caption, I think that's a good start. I think the lowest form is going to Google and just pulling an image, like whether it's a meme or whether, you know, something like that. And it can work in some situations, but I think it's kind of the default for people that are quote unquote lazy. And I say that with tongue in cheek because I've been in those situations where it's like, I'm like, I don't want to do this today. This is so annoying. And like, you know, just because it's 11 o'clock at night and you have to create some sort of content, I get that. I've been there. I understand it. So it's one of those things where if you can just take a little bit of energy and effort and make something very personal, it will do much better on Facebook or Instagram.
I definitely agree with that. Yeah. I mean, simply by just being genuine and being and being you, it's going to sell better.
Oh, yeah. I
mean, because people want to relate to you as a person, not as you as a product or a business.
Oh, yeah.
It's you that's selling. I mean, I just had this conversation today with, I went out to eat with a friend of mine, and I just had the conversation with him. I'm like, it's you that is selling. It's not the product.
Of course.
Sell yourself. Don't just go on Facebook and type in, oh, I'm working with this company and like all these great things about the company. But like, what about you? Like, you know,
without a doubt.
I don't care about this company that's already made billions of dollars. I want to know about you.
It's just the old adage, you know, know, like, and trust.
Yeah.
Over and over again. If you can just take those 3 words and just run with it, I think, you know, if people can get to know you, they can like you and they can trust you. And you can, as it sounds really bad, but you can sell them anything as long as your product's good, you know, and as long as you're trustworthy and they're likable and you have a good product, I think you can, you know, and there's a need for it, you'll do fine.
Definitely. So the do's, be personal, be unique, be genuine.
Yep.
The don'ts, don't just try to be fake. Go on Google, search an image, post it.
Yep.
None of that.
And I see this because I teach a lot of business owners, and I've seen 2 businesses in the same industry. One does personal stuff, very personal, in a sense of like, you know, on-demand photos, you know, looking great, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. This is in the yoga industry. And I have another business who's also in yoga, and they do the whole Google thing, and you can see the 2 businesses, the stark difference on Facebook, and you can also see it on the presence. You can also, I'm sure, see it in the pocketbook too. You know what I'm saying? You just see, when you see a class is over and over again filling up, and the uniqueness and whether they're trying to communicate, whatever they're trying to communicate through their photos or videos, whatever that may be, you can see a big difference between the person who does take the time to do it and the person who doesn't do it. It doesn't mean you have to do it 7 days a week. It just means that I would say spend the time and do a little bit digging, a little more personality. Make your own niche, make your own thing. It doesn't have to be all like, you know, like we were talking before, the Paul brothers or any sort of like high intensity, you know, YouTube person. You can just be yourself, and that will communicate much better and much better than something fake from Google.
No, 100%. You're giving these people something to like, something new to relate to. Because there's so many people out there trying to do what the Paul brothers are doing, or trying to do what, you know, the guy pouring tequila in his eyes and snorting salt. Like, there's people out there trying to do that. And, you know, there's only so many people that can go so far with that.
Yeah.
But if you be genuine and be real to yourself and try to find your own, like you said, your own niche at that point, I mean,
it's just going to work better.
I mean, whether or not good or bad, it's going to take you farther.
Oh, without a doubt.
You're still going to have your site. You know, you're not going to be hurt. You know, whatever it is. But so to continue with that question too, how often should they post?
You know, I do it, and we post 7 days a week, so once a day, both on Instagram and Facebook. I would advise that at least probably like 3 or 4 times a week, as much as you can. I think there is probably a tipping point when it comes to content, especially on Facebook. Usually, the stats I've read, usually 2 posts a day is probably the max you can do until you start seeing a kind of like the tipping point of what's the phrase, like just basically you're kind of wasting your time because Facebook goes to start like, okay, you start spamming people. Instagram, on the other hand, you could probably get away with 3 to 5 or 6 posts a day and just see a huge uptick in impressions or and clicks to your website. Now the thing is like most small business owners can't do that. Totally fine. I would never recommend. I wouldn't come in and say, oh, you need to post 6 times a day. That's crazy, on Instagram at least. But at least if you could do once a day, that'd be great. If minimum, probably at least 5 times a week. Now the interesting thing on Facebook is that you can go to your your Facebook Insights, and you can see when your people wake up in the morning and then when they actually go to sleep. And it's funny because if you go on there, you can see like Monday, people are mostly up at like 5 a.m. right bright and early. And by Friday, they're waking up like 6:30, 7 o'clock. They're pushing it. You can just see the slow progression of people waking up later and later throughout the week.
Oh, man.
And then it's hilarious because, and so that should determine your posting schedule too. If you have any questions about like, what time should I post? Usually
find the most active times.
It's always the one thing is that people wake up at 5 a.m., 5:30 a.m. on Monday. By Friday, they're kicking out a little later. And it's funny, you can see people like the peak at like 8:30, 9 o'clock, and then they start winding down to go to bed.
Definitely. Now, what is one mistake that, one should avoid at all costs when, being a small business owner and being on social media?
One mistake.
Well, here, let me make this more open-ended, right? How about small business owner and any entrepreneur out there?
Yeah, totally. I think one mistake that I would definitely, we can go back to, is not being genuine and trying to fake it. But I think we've kind of covered that pretty well. I think, and also one thing I'm really passionate about is not selling too hard. Is once your Facebook page or Instagram page just becomes a selling, like just sales and sales and sales. People ask, why would I follow you? Why would I engage with your content? It's just, over and over again, it's just you're trying to sell stuff and sell stuff and sell stuff. Or even if the fact you try to fake it and try to cover it up and then to sell something, like sometimes you really need to create content just to benefit the other person, period.
Leave value somewhere. Wherever it is, just leave some type of value for that person.
Yep. And I think that's where you see this huge dichotomy of salespeople coming into play, where you have people that are trying to bring so much value to the table, and then you have the other end of salespeople trying to like really dig in deeper and try to sell more, and you're like you're not going to win. Like, as the industry is changing, whether it doesn't matter if you're in art classes or whether you're trying to sell products, whether you're trying to sell real estate, it's just, this over here, not saying it can't work, but it's just going to become harder. And as the industry and as sales and marketing becomes more about personality and being genuine and bringing value, these people are going to win for the most part, as long as you bring the correct value. But that's one thing I see right away is just people that are in sales, and I'm in sales. I understand that. I'm not stupid. I'm trying to sell what we're trying to do and trying to sell our classes. I get that. And a lot of people, anyone who's in business is in sales, but you'd be surprised. And I can just be honest with you, is that you'd be surprised how often my posts that don't sell, how better they do versus the ones that I try to sell. So for instance, I just created a video, just a recap video of an event we did, and it was just really nice, heartwarming, et cetera video. And it got I think 1,500 views on Facebook, But if I would have made a video about trying to sell something, it would have probably got 200 views, or something even, and view count doesn't matter. I'm not saying that, that's just our comparison. But, there's just a big difference there.
That's a huge difference. Mm-hmm. That's crazy to think about too. So we're going to kind of go to some tech questions, okay?
Let's do it.
So, as a human being, do people really need to care about their privacy online?
That's I would say yes, they do. I think mostly for protection from predators and other people that want to take their credit card and identity theft. I think as things progress, I think privacy will become a bigger deal. But I think people are going to be willing to give it up more and more, sadly. As you've seen over the course of years between Google, Amazon, Facebook, they know everything about us. It's scary to think how well they could peg us as a person just based on our interaction between everything. So I think privacy should be a big deal. I think people should be concerned about it. But at the end of the day, I think people aren't going to do as much as like they're not gonna put the effort into to get it figured out. But it's something I would be concerned about.
I definitely, I'm right there with you.
Yeah.
I mean, you go online and some of the stuff people post, like it's so revealing.
Oh yeah.
And like you don't know people viewing your stuff. Like they could just show up wherever you're at and harm you or harm people around you or just do something stupid. Like it's just crazy to think about. And like all these pop-ups that come up and all these random emails I get, like you just never know like what's what, who's who.
And there's a couple of easy ways to, obviously you can search online and figure out how to protect yourself, but it's going to become a bigger deal. And I think I would hope that people become more sensitive to that, because I think it's going to help. It's going to help rather than hurt, because these companies, when they have too much information, they get too big-headed and they think they can control the world. And you start seeing things like Facebook. The whole Facebook problems come up, left and right.
I definitely, 100%. Now, do you think technology's role is positive or negative in creating and forming new relationships?
I would definitely lean more towards the positive than negative. I think just because you see a lot of the families stay connected, you see the photos, you see people connect. I think if they use it properly, like, if there's a person that lives in Asia and there's a family member that lives over there, and then they can connect to someone who lives in America, I think it's great. I think friendships can be rekindled, especially people that you exit out of high school with, they can stay connected with. I think it's probably like a 70-30, maybe even 40-60. I think there's obviously a lot of just a lot of horrible things on Facebook and Instagram and things we know about, whether it's Snapchat. But I would lean more towards it's going to help people. But once again, I think also it just exposes, I think social media really exposes people for what their true inner feelings are. And I think it's like this, like the veiling is gone, because now it's like, well, I can do whatever I want and say whatever I want, and they think they have this like sounding board to like listen, people listen to them, and you see people's true intentions from there. But I think as this phase passes on and as the industry matures and social media matures, I think it'll definitely be a quote unquote weapon for good rather than evil.
I definitely feel what you're saying.
But we're at the ugly stage right now, so.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, I agree with the whole 60-40, because you have people that are being genuine online, that are really trying to like be positive and put out good content. But then you have the people that are like really just, they shouldn't even have a phone.
Oh yeah, there's like you see these conversations, and like, why would you ever say that? This is completely public. This could haunt you forever.
You know what I don't get? I want to take this a little different direction. I don't get why people go online in like flash guns and flash drugs, and I just don't get that. Like, you're incriminating yourself.
It's like,
I don't get it.
I don't know what kind of image you're trying to convey, and I don't know what you think is going to happen from this, but I can guarantee you it's probably nothing good.
No, I mean, I get the image. They're trying to be hard and show themselves in
that's true, yeah.
different exterior, and I like hip hop, I like rap, I like all that, but I just don't get the whole posting guns, posting this, or I don't get it, man. That stuff literally just, I don't even know. I don't have a comment for it.
Well, I don't know what their excuse is going to be if the cops, like, if they ever get in trouble, like, with the cops, you're like, well, we have photos of you with guns. What are you going to say? Like, I don't have guns? Like, well,
I think I saw a video the other day on Facebook. This guy was live on Facebook showing off his guns, and while he's live, SWAT broke into his house, like stormed in and caught him with his guns.
That's like, the best.
Yeah, he's like, I wasn't doing nothing, but like, we saw you on Facebook Live.
Yeah, it's like
flashing these guns.
You were on here for 20 minutes. We literally saw it, and we drove over here, and we stopped and got Jimmy John's too. It was, it wasn't that fast, but we got here.
I will say a scary thing though with social media is with people living the fake lives, like, you just don't know who you're really talking to.
Oh yeah.
So like,
that's a real thing
with
too.
Creating and forming relationships, like, how do you know it's a genuine relationship, online? And some people just get so caught up in living their life online, like they don't go out and live their life or try to interact with these people. Like, that's a huge negative too. Like, I like social media. Like, I used to hate it, but I like it. Like, I think it's great. I think there's a lot of good positives behind it, but there's always negatives too that follow with it.
Oh yeah, and I think some of the career paths that kids want to choose, you're like, that's not a career path. Like, a lot of them, they say like they want to be a Instagram influencer, but which is obviously a valid career now. But it's like, you got to understand, like, a lot of these people that are living fake lives are literally living fake lives. Like, there's no genuine relationships, and if they do take photos in front of Lamborghinis, it's probably not theirs.
They rented it or something.
Rented it, something crazy. I know there's probably a lot of people out there that actually have Lamborghinis and have planes and all that good jazz, but you're just like, it's so fake. It's just not. It's not a valid thing to pursue.
It also makes materialistic things look too too important, I feel.
Yeah, like it solves things. Yeah. And really it doesn't. Like, they're fun to have and fun, all this stuff is great to have, but at the end of the day, it's like, why?
What is it?
What does it do for me?
Yeah, very true. Very true. All right, man. So we're going to kind of switch it up a little bit, get away from the tech questions. We're going to go kind of philosophical, okay?
Love it.
Now, can a person be happy if they've never experienced sadness?
They'd be happy if they've never experienced
this
sadness.
Question literally made my brain go.
Yeah, boom.
It's crazy.
I think, I don't think you can be happy. I think you need the huge gap sometimes. And I don't think you'll really understand what happiness is if you don't know what both ends exist. I think there could definitely be an edge of happiness. Like I feel satisfied and I feel like my life is meaningful. But I think when you start seeing that pull of like, let's just say your life lacks meaning or lacks, drive, and then you get it back, that makes both ends so much sweeter. I think it's possible, but I think you'll definitely live in the extremes more. And I think hopefully you avoid the lack of thereof, and more focus on the happiness side.
I definitely feel that. I definitely think that sadness plays a huge part in being happy.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
Because like I'm only 22, man.
Yeah.
But like I've experienced a lot, and like growing up, I experienced a lot of sadness. Mm-hmm. A lot of not like a lot of bad things happen, but things that don't typically happen to the average kid. Growing up.
Yeah.
And that right there helped me realize what I really wanted, like what made me happy, and like it made those moments so much more special. So I feel like those sad moments or those moments in life where you're down in the dumps, nothing's going right for you, like you gotta appreciate those moments. Almost. And it sounds crazy, like why would I appreciate these moments? Like I just want it to end. Yeah, we all want it to end, but you gotta cherish those moments because when you get through it and you get to the other side, you're like, wow.
That adversity makes you so much stronger. And it sounds super cliche, but it's true. Like you can see it over and over again. Like if you go back to like a lot of people's stories just about how, they went through extreme adversity and they know the depths of depths and they came out of it stronger and better. And so when a wave hits them through life, they're like, well, trust me, I've been through a lot worse.
I've been through it already.
Trust me, this is no skin off my back.
100%. That question literally just
seriously
makes my brain tick.
When you said that, I was just like, man, like it's so true about how if someone who doesn't experience either and just kind of lives in this small lane, you don't see these extremes. Not that it's and it's one of those things where you're like you don't want people to see extreme sadness, but at the same time, sometimes you need to go there to see the other end.
Very true. That's a solid point. Now, do you think computers will ever take over the world?
That's a fun question.
Kind of go back to tech a little bit. But.
No, please, let's go there. I don't think they'll fully take over, I would assume. I think the thing that scares me the most is people using technology to hurt other people, and specifically robots. As artificial intelligence becomes more of a thing, there's actually an article I read about a week ago I think it was Boston Dynamics or one of those top tech companies that are experimenting with, inserting brains into robots and all that kind of weird stuff.
Like real brains?
No, I'm exaggerating. I'm sure there's things happening like that. Anyways, so one of the things they said was that they've developed this technology that they're scared to release to the public, and so they're actually keeping it safe. Which is a terrible PR move. I don't know why. I don't know who their PR person was. It's like saying hey, we have the technology kind of like to destroy everything, but we're not going to release it to the world.
Let's scare them, but
don't
not scare
attack
them.
us, please, or hack into our systems. Anyways, I think what will happen first is that humans will use robots to hurt other humans, and I'm not sure what the outcome will be after that. That determines whether robots. If we hurt ourselves enough, robots will take over. If we destroy ourselves off the planet, then robots will take over. So yes, the answer is robots will take over eventually. So
robots, be prepared.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting ready for.
Makes me think of that movie with Will Smith, I, Robot.
I was thinking I Am Legend, but that's not the one. That's a zombie one.
I Am Legend's a good movie too.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Zombie attack.
Seriously,
you think that'll ever happen?
No, I hope not.
I just read something online. I don't know if it was real or not. Probably fake, but there's like a disease or something that like a deer got, or these deers got, like a zombie deer's disease. Bear would know more about this than I would, but saying that gets a chance that humans can get it or whatever. And I'm like, dude, I am so ready for a zombie attack. Like, who wants it? Let's go. I've played too many rounds of Call of Duty Zombies in my life to not be prepared.
That's right. And then you're thinking like, how many transformations a virus can have to eventually hits like the perfect situation where you're like, oh, we're doomed.
Yeah, no, seriously.
So
Or that one movie, what's it on Netflix that just came out? With Sandra Bullock.
Yeah, was it the challenge that kids were doing walking across the street?
Bird Box challenge.
There you go.
Right?
Yeah. The blindfold challenge. Just walk across the street blindfolded.
Somehow viruses create a spirit that makes people kill themselves.
Yeah,
that'd be some shit.
Oh my gosh, I don't know what to do then. I'd be just like, hey, I'm getting my Twinkies and I'm going to the basement.
Now, if your life was a movie, which it very well might be, I don't know.
Who knows?
Who would have the lead role?
In my life?
Yeah. Like if your life was a movie, and let's say they're making a movie about your life, who would play the lead role?
For an actor?
Yeah.
Let's see here.
Any actor.
I don't know actors that well. I'm just going to go with one that off the top of my head. No, he's not. I was going to say Matt Damon, but he's too lame. I could say Tom Cruise, but he's just too handsome and people would think like, oh man, this guy's too into himself. So I'm going to say someone in between, like that's like up and coming. Who's the dude from... Oh, you know what? I'll go with the dude from Guardians of the Galaxy. He's funny.
Main character, right?
Yes. Quick-witted, decent guy, has a good heart, and good actor. So I'll go with that guy.
That's not a bad pick.
I wouldn't say so.
If I had to pick one person, it would have to be like a young De Niro.
Oh, nice, yeah.
Maybe, who am I thinking of?
We're talking mob, right?
Like I'm talking mob movie. Like, not that my life's like a mob movie,
I know.
but that's who I'd want to play. Like that real thick. I want my life narrated in a whole thick Italian accent, like from like the Goodfellas or something.
Who's the main actor on Sopranos?
What's his name?
Now we're just sitting here trying to think of names.
I know his name's Tony. Tony, that's all I know.
It's either Pete or Tony, one of the two.
That's what I'd want in my life.
Yeah.
Italian narration, mob
Without
narration.
I can see it too. Oh, definitely. Except minus the extreme violence.
Extreme violence.
Minus that. Just the attitude and mantra for life.
Definitely. Well, awesome, man. We're going to leave this with the last question. Is there any advice you're going to leave? One last piece of advice you want to tell anyone that's viewing and watching this, whether they're a business owner, whether they're an entrepreneur, whether they're just a human being watching this video because they have nothing better to do. Any advice for these people?
One thing that I've always really talked a lot about is just if anything's worthwhile, it's going to take a lot of hard work. And I think in this generation, sometimes people think it comes "quote unquote" easy, and it's just no matter what it is, it's always going to be hard. It's not going to. There's no such thing as overnight success. So if you want to win at life, you want to win an industry, you want to become good at something, just accept the fact it's going to take a long, long time. And there's the edge of luck. There's a little bit of there's a lot of perseverance, and just always be on your game and just keep saying yes to a lot of things. Eventually, you're going to get the right yes at the right time, and then it's going to be a life-changing experience.
I was told at a young age, it's not what you know, it's who you know.
Exactly.
And that's the sad part.
Yeah.
You can study, you can go to college, you can do all that. But at the end of the day, it's who you know.
Yep. And I mean, you see that over and over again, and of course, people say that often. We know that, yet people still really try to do things in the wrong areas. Like they try to get, anyways. It's way more better to get great connections than ignore the students, but it's better to have great connections than get good grades. I would rather have a person that has A's and B's and C's and have great connections in whatever industry, because most likely they're going to be way more connected in everything and have a better view of life, a better connection of people, and a better overall view of just how everything works versus just an amazing school system. Amazing.
Definitely. That was a great way to leave it off.
Yeah.
Well, man, I want to thank you for joining us in episode 4, man. I know it was a little bit of a drive, but
I loved it.
You got here, good timing. It was a great episode, man. I just want to, personally thank you. So thank you so much, man.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. You guys are great.
No problem at all, man. Thank you guys for tuning in. That was the Daily Strike. Have a good night.